Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's External Affairs Minister slams Pakistan at UNGA, calls it the epicenter of global terrorism, asserts India exercise its right to defend its people after Pahalgam terror attack. Dr. Jaishankar urges UN reform and empathy for Global South at UNGA, says India stands ready to assume greater responsibilities, also calls for building peace and upholding human dignity. UN sanctions reimposed on Iran for the first time in a decade after last-ditch nuclear talks with Western powers failed. US calls on Iran to engage in direct talks. At least 38 people killed in a stampede at a rally in southern India's Karur. Tamil Nadu government announces probe. Condolences pour in from across the country. And in sports, unbeaten India will face arch rival Pakistan in the final of Asia Cup in Dubai today. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar addressed the 80th session of United Nations General Assembly in New York on Saturday, stepping in as India's primary speaker at the high-level general debate. Speaking under the theme Better Together, 80 Years and More for Peace, Development and Human Rights, Dr. Jaishankar reaffirmed India's commitment to global peace. The minister emphasized that counter-terrorism remains a key priority as it embodies bigotry, violence, intolerance and fear.
Madam President, Excellencies, while asserting our rights, we must also firmly face up to threats. Countering terrorism is a particular priority because it synthesizes bigotry, violence, intolerance and fear. India has confronted this challenge since independence, having a neighbor that is an epicenter of global terrorism. For decades now, major international terrorist attacks are traced back to that one country. UN's designated lists of terrorists are replete with its nationals. The most recent example of cross-border barbarism was the murder of innocent tourists in Pahalgam in April this year. India exercised its right to defend its people against terrorism and brought its organizers and perpetrators to justice.
And Dr. Jaishankar also pushed for urgent reforms to the United Nations Security Council and said India is prepared to shoulder greater responsibilities as part of a reformed Security Council.
Central to the erosion of the UN's credibility has been resistance to reform. Most members strongly desire change, but the process is being made an obstacle to the outcome. It is imperative that we see through this cynicism and purposefully address the reform agenda. The historical injustice done to Africa should be redressed. Both permanent and non-permanent membership of the Council must be expanded. A reformed Council must be truly representative, and India stands ready to assume greater responsibilities.
The External Affairs Minister also called for end to hostilities in Ukraine and Gaza.
We must ask ourselves today, how has the UN lived up to expectations? And just look at the state of the world. There are two significant conflicts underway one in Ukraine and the other in the Middle East, West Asia. Innumerable other hotspots don't even make the news. The slow progress of the SDG Agenda 2030 presents a sorry picture. On climate change, the reality is of recirculated commitments and creative accounting. If climate action itself is questioned, what hope is there for climate justice? When a once-in-a-century pandemic hits us, we saw open discrimination in access to vaccines and to travel. Energy and food security have been the first casualties of conflict and disruption, especially since 2022. Better off societies insulated themselves by having the first call. The resource-stressed ones scrambled to survive, only to hear sanctimonious lectures thereafter.
Dr. Jaishankar also said India will always maintain its freedom of choice and will always be a voice of the Global South.
The predicament of the Global South is especially acute. Bharat, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, believes that it has both a duty to contribute and an obligation to motivate. They range from large infrastructure to small livelihoods, from capacity building to people's welfare, from concrete assets to education and training. India has been forthcoming in that regard, especially in its immediate vicinity. Whether it is finance, food, fertilizer, or fuel, we have responded to the urgent requirements of our neighbors.
Dr. Jaishankar also highlighted rising tariff volatility and uncertain market access, stressing that de-risking has now become a global necessity.
When it came to trade, non-market practices gamed rules and regimes. The resulting concentration exposed the world to leveraging. On top of that, we now see tariff volatility and uncertain market access. As a result, de-risking is a growing compulsion, whether from limited sources of supply or over-dependence on a particular market.
Moving on, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov advocated for a permanent seat for India in the United Nations Security Council. Lavrov, while addressing the UNGA annual summit in New York on Saturday, said that the current balance of the world is radically different from 80 years ago when UN was established.
The influence of the African Union, CELAC, and other regional associations is growing. These new realities have not yet been adequately reflected in our organization's institutional framework. The issue of Security Council reform is particularly important. Russia calls for its democratization exclusively through the expansion of the representation of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. We support the application of Brazil and India for permanent seats on the Council, while at the same time correcting the historical injustice towards Africa within the parameters that have been agreed by the countries of the continent themselves.
And India's Minister of External Affairs, Dr. Jaishankar, met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Algeria, Ahmed Attaf, on the sidelines of 80th session of UNGA in New York. The two discussed strengthening the partnership and exchange views on the Middle East. Dr. Jaishankar also met with Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud. The leaders exchanged views on our bilateral cooperation and the regional situation. Dr. Jaishankar met with the Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, in New York. The two leaders discussed a range of key issues, including UN at 80, evolving geopolitical trends, current global hotspots, and India's perspectives on pressing international matters. India's Minister of External Affairs met President of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, Annalena Baerbock. Dr. Jaishankar assured PGA of India's full support for her presidency. During the meeting, Dr. Jaishankar reaffirmed India's full support for her presidency and reiterated the country's commitment to working with the UN to make it more relevant, inclusive and reflective of contemporary global realities. Now, widespread UN sanctions against Iran returned into force late Saturday for the first time in a decade after last-ditch nuclear talks with Western powers failed to produce a breakthrough. Britain, France and Germany triggered the return of sanctions on Iran at the UN Security Council over accusations the country has violated a 2015 deal that aimed to stop it developing a nuclear bomb. Iran denies seeking nuclear weapons. An 11th-hour effort by Iran allies Russia and China to postpone the sanctions until April failed to win enough votes in the Security Council on Friday, leading to the measures taking effect at midnight GMT Sunday. Iran will again be subjected to an arms embargo and a ban on all uranium enrichment and reprocessing activities and any activity related to ballistic missiles capable of delivering nuclear weapons, including launches. Other sanctions to be reimposed include a travel ban on dozens of Iranian individuals, an asset freeze on dozens of Iranian individuals and entities, and a ban on the supply of anything that could be used in Iran's nuclear program. All countries are authorized to seize and dispose of any item banned under UN sanctions, and Iran will be prohibited from acquiring an interest in any commercial activity in another country involving uranium mining, production or use of nuclear materials and technology. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio urged Tehran to engage in direct talks with U.S. after UN sanctions return. Rubio also called on UN member states to immediately implement sanctions to pressure Iran's leaders to do what is right for their nation and best for the safety of the world. The British, French and German foreign ministers said in a joint statement they would continue to seek a new diplomatic solution to ensure Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. They also called on Tehran to refrain from any escalatory action. Ukrainian government officials will visit the United States at the end of September or October for talks on major deals involving weapons purchases and drone production. Ukraine has previously prepared a deal worth about $90 billion to purchase American weapons and has shared its vision with Trump's administration. Kiev was ready to discuss separate agreements, including on long-range weapons. President Zelensky said officials would also discuss the economy during the visits. And during more than 3.5 years of war against Russia, Ukraine has created a robust drone industry from scratch with hundreds of producers making millions of drones. Zelensky said that he had shared a certain vision with Trump on how to respond to Russia's actions. Time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Prime Minister Modi to share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in 126th episode of Mann Ki Baat. And in World Para Athletics Championships in New Delhi, hosts India opened its account with 3 medals. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in Mann Ki Baat program on Akashvani today at 11 a.m. IST. It will be the 126th episode of monthly radio program. The program will be broadcast across the entire Akashvani and Doordarshan network, the AIR news website and the News on Air mobile application. It will also be live streamed on the YouTube channels of AIR News, PMO, Doordarshan channels and the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Akashvani will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. Shifting focus, at least 38 people, including women and children, lost their lives and dozens others were injured in a horrific stampede during a rally in southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu's Karur. The incident occurred on Saturday evening when overcrowding and chaos broke out during actor-turned-politician Vijay's address, causing panic and mass fainting that eventually led to the deadly stampede. The horrifying visuals of grief-stricken parents holding their lifeless children sparked outrage and deep sorrow across the state. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin expressed profound grief over the incident. He announced an immediate relief of 1 million from the Chief Minister's Public Relief Fund for the families of those who lost their lives and assured assistance for all those injured. To establish accountability and prevent such incidents in the future, the CM declared that a one-person commission of inquiry headed by a retired High Court judge. The commission will conduct a detailed investigation and submit its report to the government. Stalin is also visiting Karur to personally meet the bereaved families and the injured. Cleanliness not only strengthens a person mentally, physically and spiritually, but also lays the foundation for a healthy society. A clean and healthy society in turn accelerates the nation's progress. With this vision, Prime Minister Modi launched the Swachh Bharat mission on 145th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi in 2014. The initiative marked the beginning of an unprecedented transformation which soon evolved into a mass movement at the grassroots level. Today, its remarkable impact is being acknowledged across the world. Here's a detailed report.
With the dream of freeing the nation from garbage waste and building a clean and healthy India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Swachh Bharat mission on 2nd October 2014. It stands as one of the largest cleanliness drives in the country's history. Its objectives included eliminating open defecation, constructing toilets, managing solid waste, changing hygiene-related behavior among citizens, and ensuring safe and adequate drinking water supplies across the nation.
The one important aspect was to ensure the quality of water. The Swachh Bharat mission made a lot of impact. And then stopping the flow of solid waste into the river. He referred to was trying to stop the flow of fertilizers into the river by promoting natural farming on the banks of the river.
The mission did not only cover urban areas but also included rural India. Under Swachh Bharat mission, Gramin Rural, the focus was on constructing individual and community toilets and eliminating open defecation. Meanwhile, Swachh Bharat mission, Urban, emphasized cleanliness of streets, lanes and urban infrastructure.
The Prime Minister was our communicator-in-chief. He never missed an opportunity to emphasize the importance of Swachhata, whether it was in meetings with chief ministers, whether it was on his field visits. He kept emphasizing the importance of Swachhata in all its aspects.
Recognizing PM Modi's commitment to cleanliness since 2021, government offices across the country began conducting special cleanliness campaigns every year. These aim to maintain clean premises, strengthen record management, reduce pendency in ministries, departments, PSUs and regional offices, and to review, weed out files and dispose of e-waste. Over the past 4 years, the campaign has been successfully implemented in nearly 1 million government offices and overseas Indian missions. The Swachh Bharat Abhiyan has had a widespread impact across the country, raising public awareness about cleanliness. These awareness has instilled a sense of responsibility among people to keep public spaces clean. Cleanliness has today become an essential aspect of daily life, and the credit goes to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who rightly said that the cleaner the country, the brighter it will shine. Bureau Report, DD India.
Sports updates now will start with cricket. India and Pakistan are ready to battle it out for the third time in Asia Cup in Dubai, marking the very first time that both the nations will compete in the final in tournament's 41-year history, giving the clash an added intensity. DD India's Mukesh Shukla brings you this report ahead of the final showdown.
The stage is set as India will take on Pakistan in the final of the Asia Cup 2025 at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium, marking the first time that the two arch rivals will meet in Asia Cup final in 41 years history of the tournament. This will be the third and final meeting between the two teams in the marquee T20I competition and the fourth overall at this venue in 2025. The men in blue have enjoyed a flawless campaign so far, winning all 6 of their matches, including 2 victories over Pakistan, once in the group stage and again in the Super 4 stage. Riding on this momentum, the Surya Kumar Yadav-led side will be aiming to get the better of their arch rivals once more and secure their record-extending 9th Asia Cup title. Pakistan, on the other hand, have had a stop-start journey. They suffered defeats only against India but managed to win all their other matches, some comfortably and others by bare margins, giving their fans a lot to cheer about. Their campaign has been mixed, but they have found ways to win through collective efforts rather than relying on individual brilliance. Talking about the rivalry between the two teams in finals, India and Pakistan have played 5 finals in limited overs tournaments that have included more than 5 teams. India's only wins have come in the Benson and Hedges World Championship of Cricket and the inaugural T20 World Cup in 2007. Pakistan have won the other 3 encounters, that is Austral Asia Cup and most recently the Champions Trophy. Whereas in the head-to-head battle in T20Is, India take the lead, winning 12 out of 15 encounters. The India-Pakistan rivalry in cricket finals has always delivered intense and unforgettable moments. With history, pride and a coveted trophy on the line, this Asia Cup 2025 final promises to be a yet another thrilling chapter in this storied competition. Mukesh Shukla's report, DD India, Dubai.
And host India opened its account at World Para-Athletic Championships in New Delhi with 3 medals on Saturday. High jumper Shailesh Kumar won the gold medal in men's high jump in T63 category. He also set a new championship record in T42 category. In the same event, Varun Bharti bagged a bronze. USA's Ezra Fretch, the reigning Paralympic champion, won the silver medal. In the last event of the day, Deepti Jeevanji finished with a silver medal in women's 400 meters T20 with a season's best of 55.16 seconds. The 3 medals put India in 4th place on the medal tally at the end of day 1. And Premier League club West Ham United have sacked manager Graham Potter on Saturday, with the team languishing 19th in the table with 3 points from 5 matches. Former Chelsea boss Potter was relieved of his duties just 2 days out from West Ham's match against Everton. West Ham have conceded 13 goals in 5 games, the highest tally among Premier League teams. Potter was sacked by Chelsea in April 2023, appointed by West Ham in January. However, West Ham won only 5 of their 20 Premier League games under the Englishman to finish 14th last season. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.